Hi everybody, it's Christopher Naiman. Well, I got something to show you. This is my latest find. Found it in a marketplace, and I'll tell you the story in this one in a minute. Stay with me, I'll be right back. Alright, let's fire this baby up. Beautiful, beautiful machine. I gotta tell you, I was so impressed when I saw this. I'm addicted to sewing machines, as you know. I use them in my business. I use them, I make things. I mean, my whole life outside the hair salon during the day when I come home at night is all sewing. I love sewing. This machine is a former Husqvarna top-line machine. It's the designer Diamond, and I was trying to read up as much on it as I could. The machine itself is just a work of art. It really is. I mean, let me tell you the story. So every day I look at Marketplace. I'm here in Florida. And as I mentioned many times before, down in Florida, you got a lot of grannies that are dying and families selling their machines. You got a lot of younger to middle-aged people that think they take up sewing and then they gave it up. Well, this wasn't a granny that I bought this one from. This was a gal probably in her 40s who said she just didn't want to sew no more. And when I went to look at it, I said she was going to let me test drive it. You know, really nice. I mean, she was really nice about wanting me to test drive it and everything. I said, no, I saw you do a video on the ad, on the Marketplace ad, and I saw you sewing on it. I know it does good. And I said, why are you selling it? And she said she just doesn't want to sew no more. And I asked her, I said, what happened to the embroidery unit? She goes, she never got one. I said, oh, so you're the second owner of this machine? She said, yeah, I must be. She goes, and when I bought it from a dealer in St. Petersburg or Clearwater, there was no embroidery module for it. So she bought it from a dealer, she said, and there was no embroidery module for it. Anyway, I had been watching this for several days before I bought it. And I said, you know, she started at $1,000. She dropped it down to $500, then $400, then $300, and when it was down to $250, I messaged her and I said I want it. So I drove down and got it. Now here's what I'm noticing on Marketplace, even more so now than before when I told you all to start watching Marketplace. Prices are dropping tremendously. You know why? I'll tell you why. The economy is bad, and nobody is paying full price. Or I shouldn't say full price, they're not paying top dollar for used machines. Okay, no one is getting top dollar for used machines. So they have to drop the prices down. They have to drop them really low. If you look at Florida Marketplace, you know, there's a Viking in Brilliance 80 with everything, plus all tons of thread and fabric for $1,500. It's got everything. There's another in Brilliance 80, some guy's trying to sell for $2,500 that doesn't have an embroidery module, doesn't come with extra feet, presser feet, does not come with thread, does not come with anything extra. He's trying to get $2,500, whereas this other person is selling the same machine with all these extras for $1,500, and that machine's going to fly out the door. I thought of getting it, and I said, nah, this is good enough. This is fine for me. I got my Vikings back. You know, I got my Vikings back to play with. But it's a nice machine. Very, very nice and friendly. So I'm just going to go over a couple things about a Viking in case you're not aware of the Viking machines. So anyway, what's nice is you got a sewing advisor. And the sewing advisor is you have all these icons here. What do these icons mean? Well, we'll touch the screen here. Touch the screen here, and what it does is it tells you, trying to get a good camera view here. Okay, so it tells you you can select woven light, woven medium, woven heavy, stretch light, stretch medium, stretch heavy, leather, and vinyl. Yes, this machine can sew leather. It can sew lightweight leather and vinyl. And then you choose if you want a seam overcast, based, blind hem, buttonhole, and sew on button. Sew on button there. See that down there? So this machine, basically, you tell it what you're going to sew and it sets it up for you automatically. Then you can override it too. You can override the tension, you can override the stitch length, the stitch width. It's got tons and tons of stitches. Lots of stitches. Let me just angle this up a little bit here. So if I go to the top, I touch that, it's going to bring up a whole row of stitches. Let me see if I can get this better angle. All right, that's about the best I can do. The taller they make these screens, the harder it is to get in a horizontal camera view. All right, so, and because I'm putting this on YouTube as a long video, I have to shoot horizontal. I don't want to shoot vertical because the screen's too small. Anyway, so you've got these different files of different types of stitches that you can sew, which is just, like here right now, I'm in utility stitches. You see all the utility stitches. I'll go back here. I've got these decorative stitches, and it tells you how many pages there are. There are 4 pages of this type of decorative stitch, and then buttonholes. These are all the buttonholes that it'll make. Decorative stitches here, more decorative stitches, 2 pages of these type of decorative stitches, and then you have what's called pictogram stitches. There are 2 pages of these. Crafting stitches, there's 2 pages. How do you know there's 2 pages? Right here. You got this and this. See that? And then heirloom. You know, coming up this year, I'm going to be shooting a video on heirloom sewing because I absolutely love heirloom sewing. Why do I like heirloom sewing? I like it because you get to utilize so many decorative stitches, and there's so many techniques with heirloom sewing. And even if you're not into like making christening gowns or anything like that, there are so many things you can use heirloom stitches for in your garments. Maybe if you're making a traditional vintage looking quilt, there's just so many things, and it gets you to utilize these decorative stitches. It really does. Decorative stitches, wing needles, twin needles. There's so much that you could do when you're doing heirloom. And you know, if you buy a machine with all these type of decorative stitches and you're not using anything, you're just wasting your money on the machine. Just buy basic mechanical straight stitch zigzag. So utilize those decorative stitches and really get into learning, because it's a lot of fun once you get into this. So now my understanding is I think this machine was manufactured, I couldn't get quite a direct answer online, but I think it's between 2006 and 2008. This is the first generation of the designer diamond, and this was made in Sweden. So again, this is my second Viking I adopted in a couple weeks here, and this also was made in Sweden before they closed their factories and shipped these machines to the Asian countries to make them. So there's a lot of nostalgia in this to say, hey, you know, I bought a machine in its originating country, which is nice. You know, somebody, I mean, I posted something like this. I posted a picture of my last machine and told everybody that, you know, it was made in Sweden. And some gentleman went on and he went off on me, calling me a racist, and we don't need that racist bullshit and stuff, he said. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's nothing racist about saying where it was made. I don't know. Somebody was like got up on the wrong side of the bed that day. But there's nothing racist about saying where these machines are made. I mean, Singer sewing machines used to be made in America. They also used to be made in Germany. And I think there was a couple other places around the world where they were made. And then they closed the factories and they shipped everything to either China or Japan. China, I think it was, to have them made. So everything's gone to China. We know that. And from China, they went to Taiwan. You know, these machines are going to Taiwan, and now they're being made in Vietnam. If you look at some of the brother machines, they're made in Vietnam. And then, just like clothing, we used to make our own clothing in America. We shipped it overseas. And then they're making in Bangladesh, in Indonesia, in Vietnam. So many other third world countries are making these clothing. So when they want to bring back Made in USA, you know, I've been on Made in USA for many years now. You guys know that who know me. I have been promoting Made in USA for a long, long time. But I always tell everybody, you can't bring back manufacturing until you train people how to sew or train people how to make things, you know, and you have to have the factories to be able to open up the factories. Well, you know, in what's going on in our economy right now, they're trying to raise tariffs to bring manufacturing back, but we don't have the factories. We don't have the skilled workers. You know, the first thing you have to do is start implementing trade back in school. You got to put trade schools in. Then you have to have a plan to build factories. And what are you going to make? You got to train the people, right? So there's a lot I could say on the subject, but what I do with sewing and what I make with sewing is basically, I've got my own little factory going on myself. You know, I'm responsible for my little business, and I'm very proud of my little business. And everyone in this country has small businesses going on. And we don't get the same tax breaks as the multi-million-dollar corporations do. And those multi-million-dollar corporations are getting all these tax breaks, but they're still sending their products outside the country. My solution to what I just said earlier about training and stuff is to cut off those tax breaks to corporations who outsource and only give tax breaks to companies who make the product in America. I mean, why would I want to pay taxes to give to a corporation just to send those jobs overseas? Now think about that. Think about that. Wouldn't you want to give your tax, hard-earned tax money to companies that hire people in America to make things? So I'm going to leave it at that. I want you to think about that for a while. All right, so anyway, go through these. So many different choices to choose from, so many different menus. It's beautiful. And then what I also like about this is I can activate the embroidery part without the embroidery module. So let me go here. There we go. I could go through the embroidery. I could see what built-in designs there are. Okay, now this is a little older technology, so it takes a couple minutes for these to pop up. But there's so many nice, beautiful designs that I could choose from. Now, because I don't have the embroidery module, one thing I can do is I can bring in a design on the screen to edit, and then I can save it to a USB stick, plug that USB stick into my computer, go through my Embroidery or other editing software, and transfer to a format of a language for one of my other brand machines, and sew it out on one of my other brand machines. If there is an embroidery module out there, if there's an orphan embroidery module for this designer diamond, I may adopt it later, but I mostly bought this because it's for the sewing. But I love this machine because I was watching online. Look how many, we just keep going. I was watching a video online where this has precise positioning, right? And it doesn't have a camera. See, I have precise positioning on my Brother Quattro and my Baby Localissimo, where you take it scans the hoop and then you can put your design exactly. Well, on this Viking one, I can't do it without the module attached. But with the Viking, you bring in a design and you're able to mark it and then change it to mark it, move the needle on the hoop in the fabric so it can line up exactly where you want it. It's nice. It's really nice. Who knew, right? You don't know these things until you adopt an old one. But I'm showing you this because like I said in my last videos, I teach sewing. And I'm expanding the brands of machines I have. So when students come in to learn their sewing machines, I will know their brand and I can teach them. But in every brand, there's something that I like. Something I like in every brand. What I like about the Vikings is they have penetration power when you're sewing through vinyl or leather. Great penetration power. So if you're a bag maker and you want a machine that's going to have penetration power to make your bags, I would suggest you go with a Viking. I really do. I really, really do, because that's what I miss about having my number one was the penetration power for sewing things. But now we got these, and look at. Don't settle for trying to pay a lot of money for these used machines because they're not getting it. The market is a buyer's market right now. The economy is crap. People lost jobs. People don't have jobs. You know, people are trying to make a living part-time doing things. If you want a sewing machine, you want to make things to sell them to make extra money, and you could still get a beautiful former top-line machine at a very, very good price. And it also depends where you're at. I know people. My friend has a place up in North Carolina, and she said they're always selling these machines dirt cheap up there used also. And 9 times out of 10, like I said, it's some granny that owned it. Granny passed away, the family's selling it, and that's the reason why sometimes when they're selling it, they don't have the embroidery module because they didn't know what the heck it was, and they're just, they got rid of everything, they're just selling the machine only. But every so often you'll find people online selling these embroidery modules to go with everything. So a very, very nice machine. I like it. Here's the top of it here. And one thing I was not sure I would like, because I'm used to a knee lifter. This machine, number one, does not have a knee lifter. And number two, there's no handle around here to lift the presser foot up and down. It's all done by buttons. And let me just show you something. It's all done by buttons. And if you tap on the foot pedal, let me bring this down here. There we go. If I tap on my foot pedal, oh, I can't do anything because I'm in embroidery mode. Let me go back to sewing mode. There we go. Okay, back in sewing mode. If I tap on my foot pedal, it lowers the foot automatically, right? And then when I sew, I can make it hover if I put the needle down. Okay, so every time I stop, needle will go down. It'll lift the foot a little bit so it hovers so I can pivot. See that? There's a lot I could tell you about this machine, but there are videos on YouTube that demonstrate this machine, go through it. And you can see it's just a nice running machine. Very nice running machine. I was doing all kinds of testing and sampling the other night, seeing what it would do, and I even, yeah, I was doing so much. What I put in here is a blue tip needle from Janome, and the blue tip needle from Janome is a multi-purpose universal needle. It's used for sewing wovens, it's used for embroidery, and if I was going to demonstrate some leather, I'd put a leather needle in here, but it will still sew this leather without a leather needle. Let me show you. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to tell my sewing advisor that I want to sew leather. So let me switch to leather here, and I'm going to do a seam. So here we go, just to show you. Now this is without a leather needle now, okay? Because normally you need a leather needle. Let me get the camera closer for you. Okay, there we go. So here we go. And this is just a size 12 universal needle. Now I'm going to hit the scissor button. And let me cut off my little extension here. Let me put 2 layers of leather together here. There we go. Really nice. No skip stitches, and this is just standard construction thread with a size 12 blue tip Janome needle. Look at that, nice and strong seam. Isn't it amazing? Just amazing. To me, and one thing I didn't do, I didn't use a Teflon foot. I did not use a Teflon foot, so let me put a Teflon foot in. Because it does come with a Teflon foot. The reason why I forgot to use it, because this is not sticky leather. You have sticky vinyls and stuff, but a Teflon foot is good to use because it helps glide better. So let's do it again with a Teflon foot and see what happens. Come on, get in there. Get into that split. I don't know why they put this split on the side of this foot instead of in the middle. There we go. Normally your splits are in the middle of the foot. They had theirs on the side there. All right, let's see. Let's check this one out. Let's check it out. I'm sewing with my left foot, so sorry for this fast start. Let me get my other foot in here. Let me get my dominating foot in here, my right, so I can sew slower. There it is. And what I'm finding out from all Vikings is they have a very pleasant ticking sound when they sew. My other one that was in for repair had a very raw sound to it. But every Viking I listen to online, they all have a nice ticking sound to it. Look at that, same. The length of the stitch didn't change. It's the same. So even without the Teflon foot, even with and without the Teflon foot, the stitch did not falter. See that? Here's the back. I would do it longer though. I want my stitch length longer. So let me do this longer, because I like a longer stitch length when I'm using a domestic machine. I'm going to set this to 4.0. Yeah, I like a longer stitch length. See? See the longer stitch length? It's right there. Much better. Let's go to the back. Yeah, it's much better. Much better. So anyway, I just want to tell you all to get your butts on that online. If you really want another machine, or if you're looking for a former top line machine, watch the prices. Don't pay full dollar, because you know you can get these without paying full dollar. You know, like I told you in all my other videos, the industry is saturated with these machines right now. For over 30 years, they've been making new models every 2 to 4 years. And every 2 to 4 years, you've got people, and mostly grannies, because grannies are the ones who got the money that buy these top-line machines. They go out there and they're trading in their former top-line machine for a new top-line machine, and they'll either trade it in or they'll keep the first one as a backup. Then after grannies pass away, the family comes in and they're selling an estate sale with grandma's or mama's stuff, and they are getting rid of it really cheap. And then the market now is making them sell them even cheaper. So if you look at Marketplace in Florida especially, you're going to notice how they keep reducing prices and they're not moving. You know, once they get down to that $500 and below for a machine like this, that's the time to grab it. It's the time to grab it. Because these machines are what? Let's see. This was from 2008, so how many years old is that, right? And they don't make parts for these anymore. So if you find a machine like this that works really well, grab it. But don't spend a whole lot of money on it, because, you know, the way these manufacturers are, they stop making parts for certain models after so many years. But it's worth getting it for a couple $100. All right? All right. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. Enjoy yourself at your sewing machine. And don't think that you cannot afford to have one of these top-line machines. All you got to do is keep your eyes open on marketplace sites wherever you live. Wherever you live, keep looking. And make sure you're able to test drive these machines before you buy them. If somebody calls and says, I'll meet you on the street corner, no. If you're in an apartment complex, do you have an outdoor kitchen there where they got a AC plug where I can plug it in and test drive it before I buy it? You know, most people I've bought from had let me in their home, or they met me somewhere like apartment complex, and they let me plug it in and test drive it and everything before I bought it. I've asked them for receipts on when it was serviced, you know, who serviced it. So a lot of these people are very, very honest people. But just be careful, because every so often you'll have someone that may have, not going to say they stole it, but they don't know anything about it and they just inherited it somehow. So just be careful. And if they will not let you test drive it, and if the compressor feet don't come with it, if all these other accessories don't come with it, just be prepared that you're going to have to go online and buy. Now, one thing about the Viking is like the Bernina. Their feet are out of this world expensive. So if you don't have, like this one came with all the feet that came with the machine when you originally bought it, when it was brand new. All these feet came with it when it was originally brand new. So that's nice. That's nice. All right, I'm running out of things to say, because, like I said, you can watch more about this machine from like Sewing Mastery from Sarah online. She reviews a lot of these machines. She has a whole, some of them are over 100 videos on one machine and how to operate it. So all I can do is show you what I've got here and how happy I am with it. Very, very pleased with this machine. Very pleased with this machine. See? So it's beautiful. All right, guys, take care. Bye now.